today I'm coming to you to talk about philodendron. Philodendron is probably my most favorite plant species out there. I can't say my most favorite right now. I have several different types of philodendron. I think the first thing I want to talk about is the difference between a pothos and a philodendron. So what I'm showing you here is philodendron usually have a sheath that the new plant comes off of. So I don't know if you can see this here. Philodendron will put out a new leaf and the sheath will appear. So it'll come out of the sheath here and here. Pothos, on the other hand, do not have the sheath. Pothos just grow straight from the base of the old leaf. If I can get it better. It'll come straight off the base. So the types of philodendron that I have, I wasn't able to really find, I found different botanical names for them, but nothing really spoke to the different types except for leaf shape. And I understand that there are different leaf shapes when it comes to philodendron. So what I'm going to be covering today are trailing, and then I have a monopodial philodendron, which is my black cardinal. It's not doing too hot right now, but this is the only bipodial one that I do have. I won't be talking so much about my monstera because if I'm not mistaken, it was reclassified, and so it's not technically a philodendron anymore. So the ones that I have in my care, my moonlight philodendron, which is a vining plant, but also you do sheath here. But it also doesn't look like, per se, my philodendron Brazil as far as a vining plant. I have, like I stated before, I have several different species. This one came to me as lemon lime, but so did this one. And as you can tell, they look very different. This is a mixed pot. So with pothos and philodendron, they have the same care requirements. They like bright indirect light or low light. They can be kept in an office setting or a setting with minimal light. So they do well with artificial light. So I'll say medium bright indirect light to low bright indirect light, or fluorescent light if that's what you got. So my moonlight, she doesn't take any real specific care, even though she's probably the most exotic of my philodendrons. She's very easy to propagate. I really just cut a piece off and stick her in water, and she grows for me beautifully. The water requirements, philodendron are pretty forgiving as far as water goes. So I've let them get to a point of critical dryness where they're like drooped down and sad, and then I water them and they'll perk back up by the next day. And then they can tolerate overwatering. They don't want to be overwatered all the time, but if you overwater and then you take a step back and say, hey, you know, I've got some yellowing leaves, give them some water. I'm sorry, don't water. As far as humidity, they take your regular household humidity. I haven't had a real problem with them. I don't do any misting or anything like that. So yeah, as far as soil, for mine right now, they are in literally regular garden soil. There are no worm castings, there's no excessive amounts of perlite. All of them do have drainage holes though. I'll say that for when I water, they all have drainage holes, so they do drain out. There are no rocks in the bottom, you know, none of that. As far as fertilizing, I fertilize more in the summertime than I do in the wintertime. But in the wintertime, if I see that my plants are putting out still a lot of new growth, I'll say maybe once every month, month and a half, I'll hit them with a splash of fertilizer. So what I was doing before, as far as fertilizer, I was just using regular, Miracle Grow fertilizer. I'm actually going to try something new, which I currently have 2 fish tanks. So I'm going to be using fish emulsion, and I don't know why I didn't think of this before. This is something that I've known about for years. I mean, you know, I know people who just take cuttings and throw them in the fish tank water, and the cuttings do well. So this is just a natural progression, and I'm just kind of surprised that I didn't think about it sooner. So my first one, my Philodendron lemon lime, as you can tell, she's a little bit different than the rest of them. What I do as far as propagating with this girl is, you can see the nodes, these little dark spots where the aerial roots could come out. These are the nodes. Those are where you want to cut right in the internode here, and then just put that in a glass of water, and you should be able to get roots. I'll say with this one, she roots up pretty fast. I'll say within a month you should be seeing some good healthy roots. Let me set her aside. So this is, I'm not sure if this is a Philodendron. It has the sheath, but I know that Scindapsus is a plant genre, and I'm not sure about if it's a Scindapsus or not. This is my Silver Ann, which was, Silver Ann or Exotica, I'm not sure, but it was labeled as pothos, although it does grow from the sheaths like a Philodendron, so that's why she's included. She wants, again, the same requirements, like medium bright indirect light to low bright indirect light, you know, same water requirements. Actually, she doesn't droop. She doesn't talk to you like the other ones do. I have to really stick my finger in here and figure out if she needs water or not, because she's not going to grow down, and her leaves are dare I say cardboardy, where okay, that's not a good example. So where the foliage on the Philodendron Brazil feels like a leaf, the Silver Ann is I don't want to say tougher. It's thicker. How pretty is that? Oh, I never noticed that it's even sparkly on the back end. But the leaf texture is different. It's harder. And then my next, so this is a mixed pot. I've actually got 2 different Philodendrons and pothos in here. So it's my Pearls and Jade pothos. And then I have a Philodendron micans. The leaf one here is heart-shaped and fuzzy, velvety. And on the back side of the leaf, you've got this really pretty copper bronziness to it. It's one of my favorites. I can't wait until she gets bigger. And then my other lemon lime Philodendron. Again, still heart-shaped leaves. Same, you know, leaf texture as the Brazil. I have them all in one pot simply because they have the same care requirements. And then my Brazil, I've had her the longest. I know it probably doesn't look like it, but she was really starting to thin out at the top. So what I wanted to do was make sure that her head was full. I mean, what's the use of having long hair if you got a bald spot in the middle? So what I did with her was I took some bobby pins. I don't know if I can pull it out. I took some regular bobby pins and I just stuck it in the soil. And so far the trailing parts have begun to root into the pot. This is Philodendron Brazil, and you can tell by the colors, the variegation, I was going to say propagation, that's so wrong, the variegation in the colors. You'll get the green and the yellow, like the Brazilian flag. Well, I guess that's it for today. I hope this video helps. Again, just to recap, the philodendron comes in all shapes and sizes. If you're just beginning with a plant, I recommend philodendron of any kind. They're easy care, very easy going plants, and you get, your different type of leaves, foliage. And yeah, these are my babies, my philodendrons. I hope in the future to acquire more, because as I was doing my research, I saw there was like 496 different varieties of philodendron. And I hope to one day acquire most of them. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Like and subscribe. You guys have a wonderful day. Good night.